This is really the Fighter and the Kid.
Come on, baby.
Tim Pool.
The great Tim Pool.
Great Tim Pool. I was very excited about having you here too. And we were like, we have many questions. Who's running the world, Tim?
Am I supposed to say the Jews?
It's always every conspiracy theory ends with like a circle, an invisible circle of Jews holding strings. You know what I mean? It's always
that's the meme where it goes all the way up the chain and then in
every
the back
time,
is
every single time. I've always tried to explain that. Like that's nothing new. Every conspiracy theory is always the international bankers, the globalists is all code for Jews.
Yeah.
I don't know how people have gotten to that place where I call it Israel derangement syndrome. And I have no problem with ragging on Israel all day and night. But there are some people, that's the whole world they live in.
Yeah.
Everything.
You know who else doesn't mind ragging on Israel? Israelis.
Yeah.
Like the thing that people don't realize is that like Israel itself, when I was there, there were protests in the streets. There's a saying in Israel. If you have two Israelis in a room, you have three opinions. And part of that is that it's a democracy, so they're constantly at each other's throats. The one thing that unifies Israel, though, is when they feel like their existence is threatened. And all threats are existential to the Israelis because there's so few.
Do you entertain any of that? Because the space you're in, it's probably hard to navigate through all the bullshit. So do you entertain any of the, like, when it comes to the Charlie Kirk stuff, there's a ton of misinformation, or maybe some of it's right, the conspiracies with assassination, or are you just like, get out of here? I'm
gonna piss everyone in the world off. So here's what I said before the show. I was like, I'll step just over the line.
Yes.
I can't stand the conspiracy theories about TPUSA. That doesn't mean nobody should have them. Question it all. I'm totally down for anybody questioning anything. Yeah, Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk assassination. There's a lot of interesting questions that have not been answered, how people seem to have foreknowledge. There were these social media accounts that were posting about it.
Yes.
Questions about the release of footage like the footage that got released, we don't actually see the dude take the shot. Mm-hmm. And there's reasons why they wouldn't release that, but some people say, just prove it, put it to bed. The palm gun theory, the exploding lav theory, whatever, man. Think whatever you want. Ask questions, it's fine. I'll reach it, I'll try to debunk it, but here's the secret that is gonna make all the Turning Point people mad at me, within reason. We'll see if I'm there this year. I think I will be. I think they're in serious trouble without Charlie, and they're not saying it because they have to put on a strong face.
Yes.
But these theories that, one, Israel killed Charlie, to put in someone who is pro-Israel who will run TPUSA doesn't make sense because, for one, who's more pro-Israel than Charlie Kirk was? Mm-hmm. And without Charlie, I am not confident Turning Point can persist. I think that is true of the people who are working and running Turning Point. I think they don't want any of us to say this, who are friends, because they're trying to fundraise. They're trying to convince the donors we can do this without Charlie. But then what ends up happening is you get these conspiracy theories where they're like, it was an inside job, someone took over, they killed him for this reason. And all the theories where it's like the palm gun one, you see that one? The guy had like a palm gun. Yeah. Or like the second shooter.
They just can't help themselves. People are sending me videos all the time. I'm like, come on, guys. Or all this rhetoric about fascism and this overblown catastrophizing of the threat that Donald Trump et al. Poses causes some emotionally unstable weirdos to take drastic action.
My thing when I saw that with Charlie is like, he knows like there's a lot of bad people out there. Like, why wasn't security more on top of it?
Let's get in trouble.
That's what frustrates me.
Yeah, this is tough.
Come on, big dog. Come on.
Their security got complacent.
What'd you say?
Their security got complacent.
Yeah.
They thought they were going in a friendly territory. No, like, I was asked not to talk about this.
No, I'm sorry.
Because, but I want to talk about it.
Let me lead you down.
No, let him do his thing.
So there's all these attacks and conspiracies about the security guards being in on it and doing weird stuff. That is not true. These guys are devastated, embarrassed, but embarrassed is the last thing. They're grown men in tears.
Of course.
As they should be.
They were going to friendly territory in Utah. Nobody thought this place was going to be a target. They do this all the time. They know there's a threat, but they're like, we know what we're doing. We'll be fine. And, I remember one of the first things I heard after this happened, I had someone on my show and they go, this was a professional job. Like, no one can hit that range. And I was like, a 12-year-old could hit that range after an hour.
Correct.
So
100%.
Yeah, I'm like,
200 yards is not hard.
120 yards.
But that's what's alarming. Like your security, the roof. Clearly, the roof is the
Well, my
is
thing
the
is
move, and there's nothing.
fly a drone and just with a camera and take a look at all the rooftops. The thing is that those guys were looking at the crowd. No, it's sometimes
And-
you're just not.
Hold on, let's hear
thinking
Tim
about
on
an
this, Bubba.
assassin.
the police and the campus police and security were handling everything else. And so basically behind the scenes, I'll put it like this. The Turning Point people are trying to be as transparent as they can in terms of the investigation and answer questions because they're fair questions about the guy who took the shot, how he took the shot, where he put the gun, like those messages that between the boyfriend, they're very strange.
Very strange.
Everyone's fine with that.
The guy that admitted to it with his pants off. Remember? Remember that they arrested that guy.
The old
first,
guy.
like, yeah, we have the shooter, and you're like,
Yeah.
what?
And then he was helping. He actually said he wanted to help the guy escape.
Yes, and he got arrested for child pornography.
They don't want to have They don't have low morale. They don't want people to. If morale goes down, donations could stop. Employees might get scared. So, in all seriousness, the security had a security plan. It was a fairly common security plan. But I was talking to a dude on my show a couple weeks ago who was a combat infantry in I think Iraq and Afghanistan, and he said, "Look, after a couple weeks, you stop paying attention to what's around the corner, and then a bomb goes off." And so, I had a few people saying like, "Just don't rag on the security guys. They've been through a lot, okay? Like, just." And then,
Buddy,
listen, with all due respect, I'm not trying to be mean to them. When I talked to some of the other people in the know, they were complacent. They thought, we know there's a threat, but come on, like this stuff doesn't happen. We're not there yet. And then it happened, and it was getting
Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that because he wasn't a political figure. He was just a guy who drew huge crowds. But I can understand why they didn't think a sniper. Like when you think that, you think political. And I'm just saying in your mind. Right?
but it just happened months prior to the president of the United States.
That's different, though. He was the
Yeah,
president.
but we just saw that.
I know. It's
We can make a million excuses. I don't understand it. He got paid to do a job. He's clearly ruffling some feathers. He's massive.
The same thing that happened
chilling?
with Charlie Kirk is the same thing that happened with Donald Trump, which is this. There's a delineation of authority. So your security detail is responsible for one vector, one area of influence, one sphere. Then you allow local law enforcement or SWAT to handle the other things like the roofs. So, and you have to do it that way because it's too large an area. So what happens is when there is a change in shift, when somebody says, I'm done with my shift, I'm going, and all of a sudden there's a lapse, somebody didn't take care of the roof, it's usually some shitty human error or a lack of communication or coordination that causes these breaches. And if you talk to people who have gone through this, including like operators and stuff like that, it's always astonishing how often that kind of stuff
Unacceptable.
happens.
There's no such thing as security. It's the illusion of security.
That's right.
There's degrees of it, but even if the roof had been swept and everything was done, someone's going to find a way. You can put as many bike locks on your bike as you want. The question is, how badly does someone want your bike?
Correct.
Yeah, man. That's
And
right.
when you say Charlie Kirk's not a political guy, that's technically the truth. That's kind of the truth.
Technically.
He's one of the he's the principal reason Gen Z has shifted rightward.
Correct.
Which is a threat to those on the other side.
The biggest threat.
Well, again,
He's the
because
biggest face of it.
he even said that to Gavin Newsom. He said the problem with you guys is that you weren't willing to take your ideas and pit them against all comers. And the great thing about Charlie was that he was like, here is, I will take on 3 PhDs, never been to college, whoever you want, but this is what I think is worth defending, Western values. And it's what got us here, it's what keeps us here. And if you think otherwise, please bring your ideas and put them on the table. And one of the things he kept saying was that when people stop talking, very bad things. I'm good friends with Steven Crowder. And Crowder has been doing this shit forever. And I know, because I've had long talks with Steven about security. And I always thought Steven was kind of a paranoid. And he ain't. And he ain't. And he was like this, he was doing this. He's been attacked. I've seen all the stuff he's gone through from his Change My Mind stuff. So he really took it hard. You know?
Well, I think it's going to get worse.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Because look at the reaction. Yeah, like I thought, I don't mean to interrupt you. I thought the reaction would be like, holy shit, left, right, we got to take a step back. We're talking a human just died here. Father, this is not good. That was the case.
There's an author I quote fairly often named Stephen Marsh. He's a Canadian guy, and he wrote a book called, I think it's called The Next Civil War, or the Second Civil War. I think it's called The Next Civil War, and another book called The Last Election he wrote with Andrew Yang. And he wrote this article shortly after the death of the murder of Charlie Kirk, where he said that when he was writing his book, The Next Civil War, he's halfway through when January 6th happens, and he gets a phone call from a friend saying, sorry about your book. He says, what do you mean? Well, this is going to wake people up and stop the conflict. January 6th is a formative moment. The American public's going to lay down their swords, right? Nope, certainly not. Got 10 times worse.
Yep.
And that's the equation. That's the historical equation. And you can look at every revolution, civil conflict, tribal conflict. Facts are immaterial in the conflict.
Facts are immaterial.
A really great example is the Peace Wall in Northern Ireland. I don't know if you guys ever been.
No.
Fascinating. So Northern Ireland, of course, had the Troubles. The Peace Wall was to separate the Catholics, the Protestants. On one side is pro-Israel, and the other side is pro-Palestine. Why? What does that have to do with...
Because one side identifies with being oppressed.
Yep,
and
exactly.
the other side identifies with being allied to a powerful,
Yep, it was the crown, the empire,
Yep.
haha. And the other side is we are occupied. And there's actually a group in Ireland, I guess, that calls themselves a lost tribe of Israel. Like, it's tribal identity. It doesn't matter what is true. It matters, I give this reference quite a bit. CGP Grey made a video a decade ago or longer called "This Video Will Make You Angry," where he explains that groups are not debating each other or arguing with each other. They're arguing amongst themselves about why they hate the other group.
Yeah, because we've all siloed ourselves off into our own echo chamber. And you said something a long time ago on Rogan. You said we are going to create parallel economies and parallel worlds. And that will be sort of the velvet civil war. If I'm not allowed to bank because of my point of view, and it's changed now, thanks to Elon and stuff like that. But for the most part, you said it's going to create two parallel economies, right?
Yeah, so we have the parallel economy now, and that is, we still largely have a singular economy. I can go to a woke bookstore and buy stuff, but it's getting increasingly difficult to do, and my security is basically like, hey, I mean, let's be real. If you're going to a store and they've got those symbols and maybe it's not smart for you to go in there.
Yeah.
And so that's
you
where
need
we're
the book
headed.
that bad?
Well, or coffee shops or game stores.
Yeah.
I was going to, I play Magic the Gathering. I was going to a shop with some friends in between, like we were going to DC for some stuff, pulled up to a card shop parking lot. They've got all the big Pride stuff in the window, and it said, you can't go in there.
Oh, wow. Listen, as a former athlete, I've always looked for ways to get an edge the legal way, okay? Sometimes I went to the dark arts, but it's not legal, so you can't do it. But for every day, I'm looking for that huge advantage. If you train seriously, whether it's lifting, running, competing, or just staying dialed in.
Need some help.
Dude, you probably already know what creatine can do.
Look at me.
More power, better recovery, the ability to push through when most people are gassed. But listen, there's Beam Creatine. All creatine is not created equal. That's exactly why I switched to Beam Creatine. That's
Beam.
BEAM. I started using their creatine. It's been a game changer. I needed something clean, effective, easy to trust, and Beam makes it so
Had some this
easy.
morning.
Yep. And
It's,
listen,
it's not just about muscle, by the
Nah,
way.
man.
Creatine's is the
For that
most
brain,
it's
son.
literally the most studied supplement of all time.
long-term brain health, all right,
Mental
which is what
clarity,
you want. Yep.
brain health, all of that stuff.
Builds muscle. It's fantastic. Quality matters.
Quality is everything.
Beam Creatine is just that high quality. They don't use
no
fillers.
sugar,
Nope.
nothing synthetic.
None of that stuff. And it's tasteless. So yeah, you mix it in your coffee if you're a psycho like me, your protein powder, whatever you want. All right. So with Beam Creatine, get the strength benefits, the endurance, the recovery. And I know I'm putting something in my body I can trust. 1 scoop a day, simple as that. I do 20 milligrams. I don't suggest starting there because you're going to poop your pants. But you can start with just 1 scoop. If creatine's already in your world, but you're ready to upgrade to a cleaner, smarter version like I did, this is it. Right now, Beam, BEAM, is giving you up to 30% off for a limited time. Just head to shopbeam.com/fighter. Use the code fighter at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/fighter. Use the code fighter. Get 30% off your first order.
I mean, look,
It said, they said that to you?
well, the general idea is
yeah.
maybe it's not a good idea.
You're not welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the thing about liberals is they tend not to know what's going on. They only know what they're told to know.
Right.
So when I walk down the street, most people who recognize me like me. And just the other day, I went to a coffee shop that had pride flags everywhere and it had Protect Trans Kids and all that stuff. They had no idea who I was. I'm literally wearing, I have another hat that says Timcast on it in big letters.
They don't listen. That's why, because they're listening to their own thing.
Yeah, here's a funny story for you. I was at Columbia University when Mike Cernovich was speaking back in, I think, 2018 or something. And I've got a GoPro and a gimbal. This was when I was doing more on-the-ground reporting. I walk into this cluster of 300 or 400 leftist college protesters saying Mike Cernovich is a white supremacist, get him out of here. So I walk into the lobby of the auditorium where they're all protesting, and I'm holding up my camera filming when somebody recognizes me. And he does the mic check thing, mic check, everybody, mic checks back, and he goes, this man is Tim Pool, don't let him film you. So he points at me, and you know what I did? When the whole crowd turned toward my direction to look, so did I. I started going like this, and no one knows who I am. So they're all going looking, trying to figure out who it is. Smart. And then the guy goes, him, that guy. And I go. And so then finally, some dude walks up to a random photographer who was there and starts screaming at him saying, you're the problem, you're the liars and the propagandist. And I'm like, that old guy is not me. They don't know. They don't know. And so finally, the dude walks up to me and puts his finger, this is the guy. And this is on my YouTube channel somewhere, but, and so I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Now here's where it gets scary. This is just after I left ABC News. This is the joint venture Fusion. So I had an ABC News ID card, press card, and it's in my wallet. This young 20-something-year-old blonde woman goes to the cops and says, that guy is threatening to kill us. You need to kick him out. Wow. And the cops ignore her. And then she starts complaining to the administrator who is there with the police. This guy said he's filming us so that he can give the video to white supremacists who are going to kill us. He's trying to kill us. And then I walked up to the lady and I said, ma'am, honestly, I have no idea who this person is. Here's my ABC press card. I'm just a reporter. And she was like, you're fine. Don't worry about it. But that lady didn't know who I was. That was 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
So when I was on Joe's show with the Twitter execs, at the end of the show, I said something to the effect of, if you keep down this path, it's going to be civil war. The funny thing is, people have this view of society that society is their generation always. So an example would be, I worked at Vice. And when I was there, Shane Smith, the CEO, was like, we got to get on TV. He was 45 at the time. This is 10 years ago. And I'm thinking to myself, what do you want to be on TV for? Nobody uses TV. Yeah. Oh, well, to Gen X, this is what everyone's doing. So he's looking at his world, his business, his revenue streams, and everyone he knows who are in his generation are doing this thing.
Right.
I, in the millennial generation and younger, was on Twitter and YouTube. And I said, I don't know anybody who watches TV anymore. I don't understand why they're going this direction. But of course, I was like, oh, I get it, right? Shane's an older guy, and he's looking at what his peers are looking at. So what happens in politics is people think that politics change, but they don't. People typically get their politics at a young age and keep them forever, same with religion. It is a minority circumstance where someone will switch, convert, or otherwise, but it happens. So when I'm looking at colleges saying, I will kill you, like these students are threatening to murder, they're literally beating people, I said.
They're going to hold on to that.
When those 20-year-olds are 35 and in Congress, the weight of the federal government will be in this regard. So in 2018, I was in a bunch of chat groups with DC journalists. They were like conservative leaning or fairly libertarianish. And when I said, look at the Battle of Berkeley, where the base stick man, I don't know if you guys know this, he cracked a stick over an Antifa head. Then some college professor, Antifa guy, took a bike lock and bashed several people over the head. They were throwing explosives at elderly women. I said, we are on track for a civil war. I don't know if that means we're going to be in a civil war, but if this does not stop and continues in this direction, the equation is civil war. And these guys, they're like, oh, chill the fuck out, Tim. Like, the security state would never allow the country to fall apart. The military-industrial complex is not going to tolerate this. And I said, what happens when these people are the military-industrial complex? What do we have now?
That's right.
AOC went on the House floor within a week or two of Charlie Kirk being assassinated to condemn Charlie Kirk.
She's so dumb. The thing I will say is that people like AOC are, I'm sorry, I've listened to her. She's so critically uninformed. She's so fiercely like unintelligent. She's just not a smart. She's ambitious.
I don't know.
She's ambitious. I've listened to her.
I think she's disliked on the left too, though. Like they were saying she can't run. There's some guys I was listening to on the left, and I think Schulte was interviewing them, and they're experts on the left, and they said, like, if you were to run right now, who would you guys have? And Schulte goes, AOC, and he goes, no, because she's been out there so much, like on Twitter, and she's a face and basically a celebrity. People already have their opinion of her.
That's right.
So there's not much they can do.
Zoran Mamdani, maybe.
Yeah, but again, young. We'll see how he does with New York. But you know,
Tim scares me, man.
Well, so the thing about AOC is women can't win, and I said that as offensively as possible. There are a lot of men in this country and women who will not vote for a woman.
That's so true.
Yeah,
there's a lot of women too, mostly women.
There's another thing too. I did nonprofit fundraising before I was doing all of this, and I was one of the nation's best for Greenpeace, the PERG groups. I worked for a company that fundraised for Save the Children, ACLU, et cetera, Greenpeace. And there are two characteristics, one for each gender, that determines whether or not they will be good fundraisers. For a man, what characteristic do you think guarantees a successful fundraiser?
I would imagine it would be something
this is in person?
I would something like boldness, forcefulness,
Incorrect.
Confidence.
Tall?
Incorrect.
Tall?
Bingo.
Tall
Guys, no matter how dumb, raised money.
Wow.
We
Figure
knew,
it out,
we had it's
So easy.
hands down.
That's great. Coming from a tall guy
That's
too.
an alley-oop.
So you're not wrong about confidence.
Yeah.
So now, before I explain this though, among women there is one trait that determined whether they'd be good fundraisers, which was
Big tits.
boom. My man, he knows exactly what's going on.
What's up, brother?
Damn. I mean, we are just still.
You're into politics, right?
We're such apes. We're just smart.
Yup.
We're just
Yeah, that's
smart.
how it works.
Fucking-
So-
yeah.
Because if a warlock's asking for money, I'm like, not happening. Get out of here.
So-
pretty hot. I'm like, well, I'm sure I got some.
That's
That's just how guys.
Medical
work.
reps, too.
80% of the people
yeah.
that signed up to these nonprofits for me were women.
yeah.
And they were typically like mid-20s. So I'm like early 20s, mid-20s doing this job. And it's those guys you see on the street like, hey, you got a minute to talk about the environment? I was never stupid enough to say that.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Dude,
work.
I've run.
So for a woman, you want to get her to stop and talk to you? You say something like, oh man, your hair looks great. Where do you get it done? Or you didn't wake up like that, did you? And they're like, oh, chill out. What are you doing? For guys, you don't say a single word. You know what you do to a guy to get him to stop? You walk up and you go like that.
Shakes hand.
You just reach your hand out to him, and the guy will immediately shake your hand.
Yeah.
And now he can't leave.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So I knew a ton of guys who were dumb as a box of rocks, and they talk like this. Hey, we're gonna protect the environment because there's like a lot of companies that, you know, they cut trees down and we need them. But if you donate, then, and the girls are like, sure, and they sign right up. I also knew some,
guys.
and then obviously the girls with the big tits were very much similar, where they stand on the street corner, and some guys walking by in a suit, and they go hi, and they smile and wink, and then he walks over and he's like, hey, and then she's like, how's it going? Shakes his hand, and the guy is just like, she's talking to me. Oh, I'm so excited. To be fair,
We're shallow as a puddle.
there was still any guy could figure out how to do it. I knew this guy who was like 5'4", chubby, and he was super good.
Gangster.
Yeah, but you got to have game. This is where
He
you're-
had game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta
He
have
sounded like Joe Pesci, like a little mobster.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And he wouldn't let you say, no matter what you said, he had an answer.
Yeah.
So you couldn't even, like, listen, I'm not interested. He'd be like, don't even say you're not interested. I'm going to tell you this. Look, like, flipping the pages.
He
And
knew what
then
he was doing.
he'd put the pen in their hand, put their hand in the thing, and be like, you're out here, bing, bang, boom, saving the country. What do you think? And I was impressed. I was like, wow.
That's good, dude. I'd be like, all right.
Yeah,
When did you have your when did you have your political conversion? When did you solidify your political philosophy?
Oh, I don't know if it's ever solidified, but I've been political since I was a little kid.
You have.
You've
Yeah.
always been into it.
Did you grow up that
Yep.
way?
Yep.
Parents?
I had the internet since for my entire existence. My mom, my uncle's a big computer guy, so my mom ends up with an old DOS shell computer in the '80s, and so I was born in '86. My mom had CompuServe on DOS, like the internet before there was any meaningful internet. I remember when we got DOS shell, and you could actually press down and highlight files. You didn't have to type like dir/w/o/p for your directory searches. And then we got Windows 3.1. Windows 95 was like crazy. My friends in school were like showing me the disk, and we were like, whoa.
So you were a computer nerd from way back.
I guess like I was on, so AOL at the time, it's sad that this will never exist again, but AOL was a very limited space, mostly used by tech guys, largely male tech. And so chat rooms were fairly, not always, but fairly honorable for the most part, especially because AOL like curated, moderated to a certain degree. So when I'd go on AOL, you know, that whole thing, I could download some games, some Apache DOS games, Doom, Wolfenstein, those are the Commander Keen, those are the classics. But the chat rooms would be general conversations that weren't explicit, weren't graphic.
Not creepy.
Yeah. And then when I think I must have been like, I went on newgrounds.com, which was Flash animation. It was YouTube before YouTube. And then fark.com became like my favorite website, which was basically a single Reddit page for news that was interesting. And you'd go to FARK.com, and it's got all these articles, and I just read them. And I was like, wow, this is crazy.
So when you get your news, because it's so easy to be gamed, I don't even know it's AI anymore, like bots and everything else. Where do you get your news? Where do you get your information?
Everywhere.
Where do you get your everywhere? You just broad range.
So I've curated, you can look at who I follow on Twitter to see. I've got liberals, conservatives, activists, right-wing activists, and news organizations.
Important to read the other side too, though, right?
Oh yeah, and that's how you know they're mostly wrong all the time.
Yeah.
But when they are right, it's important to know when the right is being wrong. Mm-hmm. And
that's really important.
You know, when it comes to Trump and accusations they make about Trump, the important thing is give it 3 days. That's the rule. Mm-hmm. Because usually they'll say Trump did a thing. I'll find 7 sources saying he did a thing, and if it sounds weird, I'll wait, and the next day they'll be like, "Oop, fake news." Happens a lot.
Yeah, that's right. Is it true that young men are shifting rightward?
Yes and no. So this is what I was saying about generations tend to think that society is frozen in time.
Yeah.
And they I guess humans in general tend not to think about what is influencing the younger generations. In the 2000s, several studies were done. They found that from like 2000 to 07, the birth rate among conservatives was 2.01, and the birth rate among liberals was 1.45.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I did this whole breakdown on it. And that meant so I looked at that and said, okay, 20 years from then, you are going to have, you know, for every, you're going to have you're going to have 2 conservatives and 1.5 liberals giving the edge to the conservatives. So we start seeing young men largely in Gen Z, politically, when polled, they're like, I'm conservative. The mind of the boomer, the Gen X, or the millennial says, wow, Gen Z is turning to the right. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's half true. In a lot of ways, a lot of young men are being influenced because I think what's going to shock people is the next 10 years. What Charlie was doing was not taking a liberal and turning him into a conservative. He was taking a default American and turning them into conservatives.
Right.
That's why they were scared about what he was doing.
Yeah.
So my prediction is, listen, let's just do math. Liberals are more likely to get abortions far and wide. They're more likely to trans their kids, even though it is not particularly prevalent.
Not get married, have kids.
Have cats. Yeah.
All that stuff. So just do the math. Where are we going to be in 20 years? We're either going to be an Islamic nation or a Christian nationalist nation.
You think Christian nationalist?
Well,
there is a movement to that, yeah.
Well, lowercase Christian nationalist. I mean, technically both uppercase in that sense, but I guess lowercase nationalist.
Yeah.
So there's the Christian nationalist political philosophy, which is a group of people. But I mean, in the literal sense of a population that is overwhelmingly Christian and overwhelmingly of national interest.
Yep.
The corporate press will use the phrase Christian nationalist as a smear against certain people, but there is a sect of people identifying as Christian nationalists, but they have like an ethos. They have, you know,
the problem with all predictions is that something comes along like AI or whatever it might be and just throws the whole thing up in the air.
Well, I try to factor all those in, but you are.
I don't think AI will.
Oh yeah.
I think
think?
AI is
it's
going to
gonna
be
get crazy,
insanely
Oh,
disruptive.
I think it's gonna be crazy. I don't think it changes the political landscape.
Liberals are going to lock themselves in their basement by
Yeah.
choice, and then we are going to accelerate towards a Christian nationalist world.
Yes.
I mean,
just
come on.
because it's so easy to kind of silo off in your echo chamber, or
No, 'cause it's
just
fun.
because, yeah.
someone motivated by the words of Jesus Christ is not going to be so easily swayed to abandon earthly things for fighting dragons in digital space.
Yeah, that's very true.
You go to
Hopefully not. Yeah.
Well, you go to a liberal and say, I'm going to give you this brain chip. You plug it in and you can come and go as you please. There's nothing by force. In fact, you got to pay me to get it. When you go inside, you can create any world you want. You want to fight dragons and be a noble knight? They're going to be like, done. Hey, you want to be a woman? Yeah. You want to be a man? Sure thing.
Yeah.
You're going to go to Christians and you're going to say, plug this into your brain, and they're going to say the mark of the beast.
That's right.
And like,
That's
never.
right. They
I'm
might
kidding
be
about
right.
it.
That's a good. That's a good. Yeah, they might be right. That's a good thing though, because then maybe the liberals won't be so fucking crazy.
Well, I'm just thinking
if
about-
they have now.
Here's a pitch for you guys.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Here's my pitch for you guys. Here's my policy. I'll become president. I propose this to Congress. You will be charged an additional 20% tax on all of your income, additional to what you're already paying. Liberals, anyone actually, can choose to go into the matrix where they can live any life they want, and no tax dollars from you pay for it. I'm so down.
That's fine.
Yeah. I'll be like, so basically,
But the thing
no
is-
one's forced to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and they experience all of the joys and pleasures they could ever want, but they got to stay, once they choose to go in, they stay in.
And they don't bother.
But the thing,
They don't bother.
the insidious thing, Tim, the insidious
Take
thing, Tim, is
50.
that it's sometimes, yeah, but sometimes liberals, sometimes this becomes more of a thing. I think human beings, especially young people, are reacting to what works and what doesn't work for them. And I think one of the things that conservatives have to keep in mind if we want to push for free markets and all these things is the fact that for whatever reason, and I'd love you to get into it and give me your theory, it is very difficult for a millennial, a Gen Zer to afford a house and to kind of live on one income, all these things you hear about. And
yeah.
when you don't have the dignity of being able to earn your keep, when you're in complete debt because of college, so all of a sudden the system doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
So, you got Donald Trump, you can do whoever it is, pretty soon you go, the system sucks. And then a Zoran Hamdani comes along and says, hey, I'm going to freeze rent. I'm going to have grocery stores that are government run. All those things start to sound pretty good when the alternative is what feels like crony capitalism or what feels like the,
course.
money for the aristocrats. So what would you say, how do we deal with that?
The first challenge I'd say is that think about how stupid the average person is. Now realize half of them are stupider than that, to quote George Carlin. So how do you deal with masses that are incapable or unwilling to actually calculate their position to figure out where they will end up? There's no easy answer.
I'll give you, can I pause you on that? I would agree that is the case. The one thing I will say though is that people may be dumb and low information until it comes to themselves and their state of affairs. And then they tend to be a lot more educated than we give them credit for. So I think people tend to go, right now I know that this economy is not working for me. Mm-hmm. My business, you talk to a guy who owns an HVAC company or just whatever it might be, and they go, hey dude, these tariffs suck for me. This is not working. And they get real interested in tariffs. And so I think a lot of times what happens is the mistake politicians make is to think that people are super ignorant. They are until their kids, they can't afford to send their kids to baseball.
Well, but
ballet.
So the question then is, you've got kids and they're hungry. How do you feed them?
Let's take a little break, B, because, dude, you need to get swagged out, bro.
I want some jewelry.
I know you see my chains.
I want some jewelry.
You do.
I'm wearing, I had this little friendship bracelet, but I think I'm ready for a neck. But can you help me out here? Because I want,
Dude,
something
you need to
in gold.
get that GLD, baby.
What's that?
Dude, if you want high quality, affordable jewelry, GLD is a great way to start. High quality at all the price points you're looking for, man. Quality pieces built to last that don't break the bank. And listen, it's real gold in every piece, dude.
How many customers, though? Do they have like 2 million customers?
2 million,
Do they have 50,000?
Bro, I was just going to tell you that.
Reviews?
Dude, worn by guys like Justin Bieber, Micah Parsons in Green Bay now. All right.
Okay.
Kevin Durant, ASAP Rocky. Don't you want to look like ASAP Rocky, Brian?
Yes.
Every piece comes with a limited lifetime. Dude, every piece comes with a lifetime warranty.
Cool.
It's literally built to last the rest of your freaking life.
I need some.
They can do custom pieces, one-of-a-kind pieces. They got it all. The GLD has official collabs with the NFL, all right? So you can get NFL teams on every pendant. They also have collabs with the NBA, WNBA, nobody's buying, MLB, NCAA, MLS, and even DC Comets. They got everything. So right now, new customers get an insane deal. Use the code FIGHTER, get 50% off, plus a free chain at GLD.com. That's GLD.com for 50% off.
That's awesome.
If you're a first order thinker, you go, me need food. Where food? Food store.
Yeah.
This is what I encounter a lot with the socialists. Famously, I had an argument with a socialist. It was like like a political party. And they told me, what do you mean milk comes from the grocery store? And I said, yes, but where does the grocery store get it? They said, what are you talking about? It's at the grocery store. And I went, oh my God.
Wow.
So there's layers to thinking.
The supply chain, you fucking idiot. The grain you need and the grass you need for your cows.
Well, not just that, but people don't realize that the supply chain is massive. Like a farmer doesn't just milk a cow and send it to a grocery store.
No.
It gets sent in a big vat to a processing plant, which gets it sent to a bottling plant.
And you need refrigeration, you need pasteurization, you need 1,000 things.
So the question then is, if you are right now noticing the economy is not working, are you the kind of person who's going to sit down, research what's going on, well, a couple hours, not even crazy, and then try and make a plan? Or are you someone who says, someone should just give it to me?
Yes.
Because the just give it to me argument doesn't actually work. And anybody who Google searched it for 10 seconds would be like, look at Rhodesia. Oof, we shouldn't do that. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
South Africa doesn't learn. They're like, we don't care that Rhodesia is just literally next door. Yeah. We're going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
We'll see how that plays out.
Do you ever hear the story about how many people it takes to make a pencil? Just the lumberjacks, the amount of coffee for the lumberjacks to get the wood, then the graphite and the mining and all the food. And I mean, it's like an ant colony. Everybody's got 1,000 jobs, and people don't take into account what it takes to handle the electric grid.
Technology is not based on how smart we are becoming. It's based on how many people we have.
That's right.
Yeah.
So as long as you can produce excess food, it's actually, you produce excess food, it results in excess people. Excess people do things. So there's a bunch of different theories about why human civilization got to where it is. One of them is that when humans migrated to the Mediterranean, where it was typically good weather with lots of food and fruit everywhere, eventually they just laid down, so it goes like this. Humans migrated all over the world. They end up in Northern Europe. It's very cold. Nomadic and seeking food and resources, they end up in an environment where for at least 30% of the year, you will die. So what happens is the people who don't do work die, and the people who work extra hard survive. Then when these people move back south, once again, because humans migrate, you end up with a people who had evolved to work more than they needed to in an area where there was an abundance. So what do? They sit back, put their feet up and say, I need to do something.
Yep.
So what do? They did math.
They invent philosophy.
Yep. They started thinking about the world, started thinking about math, started calculating the circumference of the earth. And then they basically started conquering everything. But don't get me wrong, the Muslims were doing way more conquering than the Europeans were for a while.
Speaking of which, Europe, and especially the UK, I'm shocked at the amount of arrests for people liking posts, making posts, viewing posts.
Kind of a shit show over there.
But I'm also shocked that our mainstream media doesn't say that much about it. And I think it's an outrage. I mean, it's because they agree with that kind of policy.
Yeah, of course. And they always have. It's wild. The government shut down. And why it shut down is actually easily discernible to anybody who's looking at what Democrats and Republicans are saying and then looking at the bill. But if you only read CNN, the Washington Post, and NBC, you would have no idea what's going on. And it's intentional. Why? Because once you understand the argument, you side with the Republicans. And so it's like this. The Republicans control every branch of the government right now, but they need some Democrat votes in the Senate to pass the bill because there's the filibuster. So the Republicans say, here's what we want to go forward. Democrats say, we won't sign off on that, not unless illegal immigrants can get health care under the ACA as well. Now, hold on, that's the argument. The Democrats came out and said, we never asked that illegal immigrants get health care. That's a ridiculous lie. CNN says it, all the mainstream news outlets say Trump is lying, Republicans are lying. Why? Because in the Democrat definition, if a person enters the country illegally, the moment they arrive, if they shout the words asylum, they are now now lawfully permitted.
Yes.
And so now they're entitled.
They get a work permit. You know this?
Yeah.
They get a work permit. They also get, I think, a social security number so they can be tracked.
TIN. That's what it's called.
Yeah. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff because you can't make them a ward of the state. Now, by the way, your kids then are eligible for and are they're also eligible for public schooling
Yep.
and medical care.
Yep.
So those are by law. And one of the things that Milton Friedman said is that when I think 32, we had open borders, but here was the difference: we didn't have a welfare state. You know, you had sort of a fence around those services. People, it's like, you came here, you better make it on your own.
So they're on lockdown because of
The government shut down, so a lot of services are basically frozen because a budget was not passed in Congress. The House passed, I believe the House passed it, but the Senate, where they need certain Democrat votes because it's a very thin margin, did not do it because Democrats, in the simplest term, the Democrats have a provision in their bill that would grant refugees, asylum seekers, and DACA recipients access to the Affordable Care Act benefits. The Republicans said, no, because for the past 4 years, you brought in between 10 and 20 million people illegally, but then claimed they were here legally.
correct.
Democrats are going, Trump's lying. Republicans are going, they want to give 10 to 20 million people who enter the country illegally health care. If you actually look into it and see, if you look on the surface at like John Oliver, these kind of shows where a lot of liberals get their news, they're not being told what the argument is. So I tell liberals, listen, if you believe that someone enters the country illegally and at that moment says, I need asylum, and then is granted ACA benefits, just tell me that's what you think.
Yeah.
Stop trying to claim that this is an issue of green card holders versus, illegal immigrants running rampant and committing crimes.
That's right.
So we can't afford to do this.
It's also important to realize that, you're not making a difference in the world with those 20 million people anyway. You have to make their countries have to be places that they want to stay in. You're never going to be able to solve the problem by bringing a tiny, tiny fraction of the 5 fucking billion people who live on, I don't know, $2 or $3 a day. You're not going to change a thing in the world. You're not a do-gooder at all.
To put it simply, you can't replace a mid-level insurance company manager with a Haitian farmer. And so
I want to ask you this because you're a guy I always seem to think makes so much sense, and I just love that you always kind of take all comers on. You've always been this way. You're not afraid to be disliked. You're not afraid to be. You're combative, but you're also but you know your shit. And
I'm wrong a lot. I don't know.
We're all wrong a lot,
right?
And by the way, that says a lot about you too, because we're all wrong a lot. It's very easy to be wrong. But if I made you emperor of the world, like, what are the first 3 things you would fix?
I ban cilantro from food. I just
I hate cilantro.
capital
I'm not mad
offense.
at that.
I hate cilantro.
I'm with you on that.
Are you the
I
same way?
hate cilantro.
I can't eat cilantro. My wife.
I'd have dudes in green uniforms going to Mexican restaurants and then be like, "Where is it?"
There it is. There it is.
That's my joke.
No cilantro. No cilantro.
No, in fact, I am totally fine with people enjoying things that I don't enjoy. If I woke up, okay. So ask me again, just so I can have it make the parameters.
So I make
Basically, if
you,
you're president of the United
emperor
States.
of the world. Not even president, because you can't do a thing and everything gets adjudicated. But I make you emperor of the world. The 3 things you see as the biggest problems with this fucking country.
It's the biggest problems we
I
have.
might be able to lead you down. Let me be even more specific.
Yeah.
Would you do something about campaign finance? Like how politicians
Nope.
are just, you would not.
Pharmaceutical?
Nope.
Okay, no. How about social media?
Nope.
Okay, so you.
Wow.
No, it's okay,
Oh,
but
nope.
this is good.
Yeah.
So you would not
Yeah, no.
change anything about. Yeah.
So the reason I asked you to reframe the question is because I wanted to make sure I had the parameters correct. If you were to ask me, if you were made emperor of Earth or the country, what would you do? The first thing I would do is take off the crown, kick it, and run as fast as I can.
Very smart.
Smart.
I know all
I
about
love
this.
that so much that you said that. You know what George Washington said when they said we want to make you king?
Yeah, he said, hell no.
He said I didn't fight this war to become George II because he fought the war against King George.
Yeah.
And it's a great, he was so smart about that. Because the whole point is I serve at the people's leisure.
Well, there actually is.
That's a great answer.
Well, it's because there is no answer.
That's right.
So right now, one of the problems we have is Dana White made a comment about the canceling that's happening with these people who have insulted and smeared Charlie Kirk. They're losing their jobs. Mm-hmm. Dana White is wrong in his reasoning.
What did he say about it?
He said something to the effect of, I'm a free speech guy. I don't like cancel culture. These people that have, been criticizing Charlie Kirk are losing their jobs. We can't have that. In fact, it's the other way around. We can't have people saying these things.
Correct.
Because a society that venerates assassination and condemns the assassinated has opened the door to civil war.
Yeah.
Now, what's the answer to it? There isn't one. I've talked with a lot of people, and the left, liberals, tried to excise from political discourse conservatives, right-wingers, libertarians, conspiracy theorists. It does not work. You cannot do it. You can't erase an economy overnight. And that economy is, Alex Jones. He's not going anywhere. No. He will always be Alex Jones. Yep. His name generates traffic, even if they ban him everywhere. That's now, right. They can hurt his business, they can attack him, but censorship doesn't work.
No.
There is only actually one thing historically that stops a parallel moral structure, government or otherwise, which is genocide.
Yeah.
So if you look at Egypt as a good example, I was there during the second revolution. So in 2012, protests in Tahrir Square, the Mubarak government collapses. They hold elections. The Muslim Brotherhood wins with a minority position, and I believe Morsi.
Did they bring Sisi in?
I think Sisi was the military guy after, right?
No, he was, but Sisi was an Islamist. So I think they brought him in. I'm pretty sure.
I could be wrong.
Look that up, James.
It's been a long
Sisi
time.
brought in for what?
So
after Mubarak, after Hosni Mubarak, who was the president, the elected president?
That.
Can you help me with the name? Hesnik?
Sisi.
No,
just do year, president of Egypt?
2012.
Yeah, like president of Egypt, August 2013.
But go on, finish your point. Sorry.
So so they had the first revolution, and they brought in whoever it was, and within a few months, it became clear another revolution was going to happen. So it happened a plane. It was Sisi, or Sisi is now. Yeah, Sisi was I think Sisi was after Morsi.
Yeah.
Morsi was the second revolution.
Right.
He was ousted. Look up President of Egypt Morsi and maybe see if
I think Morsi was a representative of the Muslim Brotherhood, right?
Right.
And then
he won the first election.
Right, and Sisi came in.
Former. Yeah, he was ousted on 30th of June 2012.
2013.
Okay.
Oh, no, he came in on 2012 and he left around the 4th of July. So I was there, and when did he? This is all July 3rd, 2013. That's when he left. Yeah. So after the first revolution.
In prison there.
What was it?
Yeah, he died in prison.
Oh, yeah. Check this out. So they have a revolution. They have an election. The Muslim Brotherhood wins. Morsi is named president. July of 2013, I am there in Egypt at Tahrir Square, and we're all like, the government is going to collapse. Everybody can see it. The reason why is that after the first revolution, my understanding was a relatively Islamist nation, not nearly as much as the Muslim Brotherhood wanted it to be, but they had something like 7 political parties. The Muslim Brotherhood won with around 20% of the vote, which was bigger than any other party. This is called first past the post voting, which is what we do. Whoever gets the most votes wins, even if it's only 20% of the country. So now you have 80% of the country protesting the government. And so the protests weren't stopping. The protests in Tahrir were getting crazier. And the military decides, you know what? This isn't going to work. We already had one revolution and election. The Muslim Brotherhood is going to win every single time because the secular parties disagree with each other and won't unify. They figure out the solution. They started massacring the Muslim Brotherhood to reduce their voting population and put them in prison and kill them.
Which they were doing in the 50s. I mean, the Al-Qaeda was born in the torture chambers of Egypt, and because the Muslim Brotherhood started in Egypt, and so they've been fighting this war forever. Remember, Egypt gets, along with Israel, we give Egypt a tremendous amount of aid to the tune of it's a crazy, astonishing number. So it's interesting that we give both Israel and Egypt a huge amount of military aid and otherwise.
Yeah, it's funny too. Plus I don't want to get too much on the Israel stuff, but Egypt and Israel border Gaza. Let's just,
Yes, that is correct.
So anyway, back to America. You asked me what I would do if I was emperor. We've had this conversation over and over again, and I've had people on the right say, we need to start censoring these people to let them know that veneration of assassination is not acceptable. And I agree. I don't think that'll make the coming conflict or the current conflict stop. But one thing we have to say is, if society tells murderers, you will be successful by murdering, you will get murderers.
That's right. That's exactly. I was going to say, you take the profit out of that behavior.
Yep.
And I do think boycotts work. I think that when you see somebody having no common decency, and being just a piece of shit like that and celebrating the
their
death of
brand?
somebody for all Charlie Kirk did, let's be honest, was talk. And by the way, if you listen to him, which I have, feel like he was uniquely cruel, you're a fucking idiot. But at the end of the day, he was killed for speaking. I think that the right has done a pretty good job of saying, look, if this is the way you want to behave, which is atrociously, and celebrating murder and wanting more of it, we're going to tell your work.
I feel like still too many people aligned with the right don't understand. Trump's victory is responsible, thanks in part to people like Dana White.
Yeah.
But Dana's not a political guy, and I don't expect him to be. He's just a friend of Trump's and likes this. So I don't chastise plumbers for knowing more about plumbing than the state of the world. That's what I try to do with my job. So you are going to run into powerful people who don't know what time it is. And they'll say things like, listen, nobody should lose their job and get banned or whatever for saying these things about Charlie Kirk. And my response is, principally, you are correct. Is this the path you would like to go down? I have no problem if you want to. I am not your king. I will simply tell you what will happen.
Yep.
Luigi Mangione is accused of killing Brian Thompson, shooting him in the back. He was celebrated. They made sainthood candles of him. They made T-shirts. They talk about how hot he is. Yep. They dress up in Luigi costumes. And less than a year later, Charlie Kirk is assassinated. And they celebrate. And
we've not evolved a fucking stitch. Because by the way,
that's true.
We do, and the left is
weapons.
this way. And I was saying that we have to, if you are traditional, on the right of center, whatever you want to call yourself, and you are going to sort of take on the left this way and criticize left, which you should. And they're just so inconsistent, and it's impossible to apply what they say at the level of detail. You think that it's okay to sterilize a child. Okay, great, dude, because you're saving that child's life. Okay, now, you can't even apply this shit. It makes no sense. I think it's really important for us to hold ourselves to a very high standard. So what I mean by that is, yes, it was terrible when people celebrate. Trayvon Martin's killer, George Zimmerman, is signing Skittles and selling his gun for $250,000 and signing autographs at gun shows. That's gross too.
Indeed.
And so hold ourselves to the same fucking standard,
Let's take another little break here, Brian. If you guys are sick of these breaks, head on over to the Patreon. It's patreon.com/TFATK.
That's right.
But if not, you're going to listen to this because we're here to talk to you about Brunt.
Look, Brunt
the best
is
boots I've ever worn.
I wear them all the time.
Dude, I went on date night the other night with my girl. She said, put on them Brunt boots.
But they're built to last and they're comfortable. That's the main thing. You can use them for work, but it's not like you have to break them in, man. You don't have sore feet.
They're so comfortable.
Yeah, they're amazing.
For you, they'll make you 2 inches taller, B.
Listen, man, the founder, Eric Gerard, grew up blue collar, started Brunt Workwear after his friends in the trades kept telling him the big brands had stopped listening and hadn't changed in 100 years. And a lot of it's like heavy stuff. This stuff is the same kind of quality and durable, but it doesn't weigh you down.
And I didn't have to break mine in. They come ready to go.
That's crazy.
The insoles are fantastic. I'm telling you, I wear them
right out of the box.
Time.
You'd have to
they
break
feel like
them in.
sneakers. They feel like sneakers.
Yep.
All right. And right now, for limited time, you guys get $10 off Brunt when you use the code FIGHTER at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com. That's BRUNT workwear.com for the best boots ever. Use the code FIGHTER. You're good to go.
Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better, boots that are insanely comfortable, built for a job site. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off a Brunt when you use code FIGHTER at checkout. Just head to Brunt, BRUNT, workwear.com. Use the code FIGHTER and you're good to go. And after you order, they'll ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor. Tell them you heard it from us.
Best boots ever. I wear them all the time. Brunt.
The function. You're completely correct. I would say the functional difference in Zimmerman versus Kirk is that Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin got into a scuffle. It's disputed over what happened. There's only one witness because Trayvon died. But Zimmerman was injured and then shot and killed him. Right. And the response from the right should be, "We are so sorry this young man died."
Correct.
That's just it.
That's it.
When George Floyd died, every conservative was like, "Oh, this is terrible. I can't believe this."
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
We were. That's the first thing you said.
And then you find out that he was chewing a speedball behind the wheel of a car and resisting arrest. Mm-hmm. And we say, okay, I'm still upset that he died, but Chauvin shouldn't be in prison for this.
Yes.
Well, by the way, I was going to ask you about that because Did the coroner rule it not as homicide? At first, he did rule it a homicide.
I think there were two. I think there was a medical examiner who said, it's been so long, man. I think there were two.
There's two of them, though.
The official report from the government was, it was something like oxygen deprivation of the brain, complicating police restraint or something like that.
That was the one that came to the public.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there was another one that was fentanyl in his system.
but he said, I can't breathe when he was sitting in the car.
Indeed, because that's probably fentanyl.
Yes. And so
And-
then he gets pulled out.
I think he had a speedball on him. The cops are going to pull him out of the
Floyd, okay, official conclusion, George Floyd's death was a homicide.
cardiopulmonary arrest complicating law enforcement subdual.
What is this,
restraint.
Google, Chin?
Oh gosh.
the
That is
fuck
correct.
outta here.
That quote is correct, though.
Sean says COVID too.
Wait, what? It says
That's hilarious.
He did have COVID. He did
Yeah.
have COVID.
Yeah.
So here's what I think happened. He used counterfeit bill, got reported, sitting in his car. The cops come up to his car he pops a speedball in his mouth because better to eat it than get caught with it.
Yep.
And then starts overdosing slowly over time.
That makes
Tragedy
sense.
all the way.
You know,
around.
here's what I want to try to explain to as many people as I can who don't know what time it is. I want you guys to imagine that you are walking down the road just outside of here, and you see a chubby 5'10" guy with a weird mustache gripping a little boy by the collar and trying to pull his pants off while saying he's going to do awful things to that little boy. You have a gun.
Yeah.
You scream, stop. He says, fuck you. And then he whips it out. What do you do?
I shoot him in the fucking face.
I
Shoot him in
dropped
the
the
face.
gun
I happily
and
put a
I
hole
kill
in
him
his
with my
fucking
arm.
mouth.
How do you feel?
Huh?
How do you feel?
I feel good and I
that?
sleep well. I
And
have a
that
nice
feeling-
hot meal and I sleep fucking well.
That
That's what I
feeling
do.
you have right now
Yeah.
is the feeling the left got when Charlie Kirk died. And when you look at that pedophile about to rape a child,
Yeah.
that's how they feel about you.
But that's because they're dum-dums, and here's why.
Indeed,
You're trying to rile- you're trying to rile me up, Tim.
But they're because they're dum-dums.
you're
because
doing
they
it. I'm
not
haven't,
trying to rile
they
you
haven't
up.
even
You're
taken
doing
the
it.
time to
Perspective.
listen to what he said.
Oh, it's time.
They're not even familiar.
Oh, it
with
is
the argument.
time,
Yeah.
Tim. It's fucking time to go.
I always say you should know your enemy's argument. If you disagree with somebody, then know what their argument is. Really talk to them and hear what their argument is.
Let me ask you another
Who are
question.
you going to talk to?
Yeah.
You are walking down an open field in West Virginia.
I love these questions.
They're great, right?
Yeah.
And
They're great, right?
you hear screaming.
Yeah.
And so you look over, you can't really see, and you run. And eventually you clear the wild grass and you're in a field where a black man is chained up and a white guy is whipping him while laughing.
Yeah.
You have a gun.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I go like this. I go, fuckface, drop your whip or I'm going to put a hole in your face and enjoy it. That's
And he
what I say.
says, fuck you, he's mine. And he whips him again.
Well, then I got to do. Here's what I do. I shoot him in the hip. I shoot him in the nice, just good shot right in the old fucking hip, so he has trouble walking forever. And I go, now the next one is going to go to your dome. And I say
Well,
dome.
no, he's already done.
But let me say dome. This is my fantasy, bro. And I go, next one's in your dome. And it's just, and my face is just serene, dude. I've been here 1,000
Oh, but I know
times.
Brian. Then you're like, oh, that black guy's locked down. He ain't going nowhere.
You know me.
Oh, and he's
You know me
muscular.
and my temper.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah, you know me and my
It's
temper.
gonna get really
You know
gay.
me and my temper.
it's gonna get
I'm a
gay.
little gay, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm 10% gay. I'm going, what do you do to work out? You know? How come, is that
Brian's
is that
like, I'll let the
natural?
slave go and we get a time show together.
I'm talking
Simply
about the
put,
black guy.
yeah.
No, I got to say with the black guy, because maybe he and I leave my wife. You never
Yeah.
know what happens, you know?
I do
How'd you
this.
guys
I do the
meet?
exact same thing. I think most people would do that. It's I don't even know, slavery, call it whatever you want. There's a guy who chained up another guy's beating him. I'm stopping this from happening.
Yeah, unless
Yeah.
it's voluntary and they're into it. You
I
never
mean,
know what this kind of
if the
stuff.
black dude said stop, safe word is banana.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes, oh sorry, no, but
if I hear a safe word, I'm not going to get involved.
so the point of the question is, if you saw a white man mercilessly beating a black man and you had the means to stop him, you'd do it.
Of course.
Of course.
So the year is 2006. You were born in 1993. You're 13 years old and you're on Facebook for the first time and you see a video and it's of a black man running from the police and getting shot in the back. You scroll down, you see another video. It's a black man pleading with a police officer saying, please, I didn't do anything wrong. And the cops tell him to shut up and beating him. You scroll down, you see another video. It's a black guy walking out of a store saying, look, man, I didn't take nothing, getting tased by a cop. You see nothing but these videos
Yeah.
for the next 7 years. So what happened on Facebook was when they switched to their algorithmic feed, they switched the algorithmic feed because once people got to the point where they'd on average 300 pages or friends, the chronological feed was moving too quickly. People were disinterested in most posts that were coming through and weren't paying attention. Facebook said, let's prioritize posts they engage with. Well, what do people engage with? Things that incite
Upset
emotion.
them, yeah.
Anger incites more than anything. And so what do people like? Anger motivates, and justice. Justice makes you feel good. So when you saw the video of a black man being abused by a cop, you were angry about it. Now, it didn't start with black people being abused by cops. What happened was a variety of websites picked up on this, and they said, police brutality is bad because it's an injustice. It makes you angry, so you share the video, you share the article. When they started prioritizing keywords, you had certain websites that would make an article saying police brutality video. Then you'd find racism video. People would be sharing both. Something happened when these early websites like BuzzFeed, Mike.com, and Huffington Post were doing this. They realized, guys, police brutality gets us X views. Racism gets us Y views. When we make a racist police brutality video, we don't get X plus Y. We get X times Y.
Damn.
Because the algorithmic...
Money.
The algorithm is exponential. So why is Mr. Beast always... Even when Mr. Beast makes a bad video, he gets 100 million views. Why
is that?
Because all of his videos are going to be put on the front page.
But why?
Because it's an exponential increase. His first videos were so good, they showed more people. Was so good, they showed more people. Now he's at a point where the YouTube algorithm is basically saying the likelihood of his video being good is the best on the website. So show all of his videos to everyone.
It's just math.
You just answered my question. I've been asking forever. I'm like, why does social media, the news too, but why it encourages negativity? So
people like it.
If you do something and it's awesome, you give somebody whatever, $100,000, and I write a comment, I go, Tim's awesome. It gets 3 likes. If I get on and go, yeah, he's giving it to him, but it's a tax write-off. He's a piece of shit. It gets 30,000 likes.
Well, let me get his...
Why encourage this negativity? Because then that's what kids do.
They encourage everything. So to get as esoteric as I possibly can, I will cite the story arc from Ranma 1/2 in 1987, where Ryoga learns it's called Shishi Hokodan.
Is this anime?
Indeed, it is.
I love Tim Pool.
So Ryoga is always being beaten in martial arts by Ranma. He gets trapped in a mine, in a cave-in, and he has this special move called Breaking Point that can shatter stone. But the problem is it keeps causing a greater break-in. A miner in there teaches him an ancient martial arts trick where if you summon all of your negative energy, you can fire it like a power blast. And so he teaches him this move. I think it's been so long since I've seen the show. Shishi Hokodan. And Ryoga, feeling depressed, dark, and down on himself, summons this powerful emotion and blows the cave-in out, and they free themselves from the cave. But then he realizes every time he loses a fight to Ranma and gets depressed, he can channel that energy to blast him and win the fight.
Wow.
So Ranma, getting beaten now, he gets depressed. Now that Ryoga feels good, he can no longer fire the energy blast, then Ranma beats him. It goes back and forth. So Ranma learns...
Because once he starts winning,
he feels good.
He can't get depressed.
Right.
Now
So Ranma goes and learns the same technique from a martial arts master. And it's a curse, because 2 fighters who can only ever summon their strength with depression will kill each other eventually, winning and losing back and forth.
Yeah. So
Ranma decides to take this technique and master it using the power of pride. Knowing that he can defeat Ryoga whenever he wants, he says, I'm going to channel all of the emotion of pride into an energy blast, which he does. And then Ryoga gets twice as depressed, realizing even his technique is beaten, and massively blasts Ranma. Here's the point. I thought it'd be funny to tell that story because it's an 80s anime.
It's profound, though.
But it pretty much explains why the internet is always negative. It's extremely difficult to be positive when you're surrounded by negativity, and negativity is so easy to monetize.
I have a theory, and I want to hear what you think.
That's a bummer.
I have a theory. Human beings, but my optimistic outlook is this: human beings are incredibly adaptable, and we're in the infancy of this whole strange phenomenon. This echo chamber. Your algorithm lies to you, keeps feeding you things you already agree with. I think, and this is why I'm a free speech absolutist as well, I think people will, especially younger generations, will start to realize I'm being gamed here. Just like cigarettes, just like cocaine, just like crack, it feels fucking great. But at the end of the day, it's going to lead to my destruction. And I think what we're going to start to see is we're going to start finding spaces on the internet. There will be a place
Authentic.
where it's authentic, where you're not being
authentic.
gamed.
That's what this is.
That's right.
We are the counter to that. The
That's
corporate
right.
press was lying. What I will say about the positivity thing is that positivity is, the point about the Ranma story was that positivity is promoted. There were a series of videos where people would feed the homeless. Mr. Beast got big because he did these videos where he'd give waiters $1,000.
Yeah.
There's a series of Instagram videos that have millions of views where a guy will walk into, you've seen these, I bet. He walks into a pizza place and goes, "Can I get a slice of pizza?" They hand it to him and he goes, "How much is it?" And they go, $1.75. And he goes, "How much for 10,000?" And they go, "What?" And he goes, "I'm going to give them the homeless." And then he goes and hands out food to the homeless. Positivity does work. It's just harder to do.
Yeah.
And
That's some extreme. Yeah, negativity is easy.
negativity is easy. And so everybody's
The answer is
lying about it.
put your phone
Yes.
down until it's not a phone and it's in your head. But that's where the mark of the beast comes in. And that's when, at the end of the day, you've got to believe in Jesus, everybody.
Let's take a little break, because October baseball's here. It's my favorite time of the season. Dodgers are dominating, baby.
I want to watch.
Yankees
Make
suck.
money.
But we'll see what happens. Listen, the pressure's on, the lights are brighter, and Aaron Judge is nowhere to be found. But listen, with DraftKings Sportsbook, you're right there in the middle of every moonshot moment. DraftKings Sports delivers intensity of October with player props, live in-game betting, and odds that can change as fast as a ball flying over the fence. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get paid out $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the code FIGHTER. That's code FIGHTER. Turn $5 and $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Go Dodgers.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, fiscal geniuses, monetary magicians. These are some of the things people say about the drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds, because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. So visit progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Companies and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. I don't know what to say about that.
But when you were talking about boycotting and the stuff, like you saw Elon going against Netflix, then I saw today them posting like, "Oh, Netflix shares down whatever 1 billion dollars," and I'm like, "Is it actually? Is
find out.
it actually working?"
I think it is. I think Netflix actually does have their stock did tank.
And from Elon,
So
he's that
there-
powerful.
Consideration.
Well, no, it's everybody.
So when Disney when Disney got boycotted by the liberals over Jimmy Kimmel, they all started jumping up and down cheering about the market loss for Disney. The only problem, Amazon had the same market loss.
Yeah.
So I'm like, was it really the boycott?
Right.
Yeah.
In the past 5 days, Netflix is down 4%. They're actually up today, 0.4%, but they are down for the past week. Nvidia's down 1%. Dow Jones. Oh, I'm sorry. This is today. Dow Jones is down 0.07. Apple's down 0.8, twice as much. Netflix is up today. So it's,
Yeah.
It's all skewed, right?
the one thing I think you can look at is that Netflix did drop when Elon tweeted, but I think it was like a point.
Yeah.
And we don't know for sure if what we're seeing is, I call it the Bud Light effect. Maybe. I do think the boycott is good. I haven't had Netflix since they had the cuties scandal. There's actually a challenge, though. I call it the Chinese finger trap problem. If every conservative cancels Netflix, what kind of content do you think Netflix will make? Not content for conservatives. They don't have any conservative customers.
Yeah.
They're going to make more diddling garbage.
I agree. And I think you and I were talking about this. Like, for the most part, they've got a lot of stuff on there, and probably 6 or 7 shows have a couple of scenes where it's like, what are you doing? And so,
There's a show
He's the
called,
problem, huh?
Well, there's a show called The Order that was on Netflix and it got canceled after 2 seasons for lack of viewership. And it's about a secret society of people with magic powers and I think werewolves at college.
Okay.
Now you have to wonder, why is Tim bringing this show up in this context?
I was thinking that.
So if that being the case, what was the ideology of the villain at the final season of this show?
It's a werewolf?
It's a show about werewolves and secret magic users at a college. I think it's werewolves.
Secret magic.
So there's a villain.
Well, I would imagine it was very anti-Christian.
I don't think that really comes up.
Okay.
The villain of the second season, they're at a college.
Right.
What do you think was his motivating factor in this?
What was the? Oh, okay.
The villain's motivation in the second season. Your clues are: I'm bringing this up in the context of trans content on the platform, and I referenced this show with werewolves and magic users at a university. So, what was the motivating ideology of the villain in season 2? I'll give you a hint. He was a professor.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the idea was to teach gender ideology.
The villain in season 2 is a Marxist-Leninist college professor who believes that magic should be given to all people and democratized. He is the villain. He kills and hurts people, thinking that it is wrong that people hoard magic. And I said, I liked the show. It was very CW-y, but fun.
Yeah.
And I said, how come conservatives didn't come out and say, bring back the order? We want to see more shows where Marxist-Leninist villains are chastised. See, the issue is they easily complain about the 6 or 7 shows you mentioned with weird garbage in it, which is fair.
Sure.
But they don't praise the shows that say the right thing.
Wow.
Another example.
That was the order. Netflix is kind of a factory. Like if you have a show, they'll buy it. Like a lot of times, if it's a good enough thing. There isn't a lot of ideology that goes into it.
Here's the sad secret conservatives don't realize: Dead End Paranormal Park, which sparked the boycott's been canceled for 2 years.
Yeah.
So when people are like, this writer for this show who's at Netflix mocked Charlie Kirk's death, it's like, yeah, he's not at Netflix anymore. He's gone.
Correct.
Oh, The Boys is trash. Why did you bring that up?
Your boy, Sean.
The first season of The Boys was so good.
That's what people
Love the first season.
And then Seth Rogen was like, I'm going to beat off all over this about how I hate Trump. And I was like,
Did Seth Rogen, did he get into it? Or what?
I think he's like the main guy, right?
Yeah. God bless him. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. He's the kind of guy that will.
These guys
give
smoke
his,
so much weed and says,
but he's a
I don't want
nice.
kids.
He's a nice person, and to the point where he has his. I happen to know he had this place in Vancouver, his house that he and his wife had, and they would just give it to people that couldn't afford it. Like they would just give it to. He's a generous human being. So, but you can be generous and nice and be wrong.
Well, evil is banal.
That's right.
That's what we fear.
You can have the wrong idea. You can still be captured by the wrong ideas and ideology, and that can lead to widespread destruction. Marxists can be very good people who just believe in equality for all to the nth degree.
Yeah, they think 2 + 2 = 5.
Yeah.
So, you asked me if I was, again, to go back to the emperor question. During the period of slavery, it was commonplace and everywhere. And it was like, as we look at, taking the bus.
It was order of the day.
Yeah, and the thing is, what we get now from the liberals is they don't just say slavery, they say chattel slavery.
Yeah.
Because it's a different word, but they don't know what that means, chattel slavery. Chattel slavery literally means personal possession slavery, which is only distinct upon royal slavery. So it's like, I don't know why you're saying that.
The unique thing would be it was racial in this country, so they say. And for most of the world, it was just if you were vulnerable and if you didn't come from a nation state, and a nation state could come in, whether you were the Aztecs to a tribe, you just got taken.
But if you try explaining to a liberal that slavery was wrong, we all hate that, we all agree. Did you also know that slaves were entitled to work extra shifts to make money? Some slaves were paid, and not all slaves worked in fields. They'll call you a racist white supremacist. And I'm like, I'm not praising it. I'm telling you about the history.
Yeah, that's how it was.
Frederick Douglass bought his wife's freedom. How does that make sense, right? Because in their mind, you're in a field with no say. That's not actually how it worked. It was abhorrent, and it needed to be ended. And the funny thing is, if we never declared independence, it would have ended sooner in the colonies. But it's much broader than people realize. They seem to think that the argument was there are people mercilessly beating black people, and half the country was like, yes, good. When in reality, the South was like, these people have jobs. They get paid. They're better off. I give them a home. They're not being beaten in the fields like many of them were.
And wasn't it only like 3 to 6% of actual people own slaves?
Because they were
Oh, yeah.
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to be
Oh, yeah.
you had to be
Yeah,
a
people think it was
plantation
like 100%. Everyone had them.
No.
It was like
This is-
less than 3% actually on the slaves.
This is-
terrible. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
So now
the
we now
great
we
irony is Eli Whitney invents the cotton gin, and now you have all this free labor, and that's kind of what stopped the abolitionist movement in its tracks.
Yeah, I actually didn't know this. When I was younger, I was informed that cotton gin helped end slavery because it mechanized cotton seed removal, and that's incorrect.
It's incorrect.
It increased slavery
It did
because
for the next 100 years.
yeah, they had a strain of cotton with too many seeds that were hard to remove by hand, so it wasn't worth producing. The cotton gin made it worth producing, but now you needed hands.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
That's
Crazy.
right.
how
And-
much
and
longer do we
Europe
have?
couldn't get
Tim?
enough of it.
We have 5 more minutes.
Oh, he's talking to you, Sean. Like, how much?
I got all the time in the world. We have another show at 5. That's about it.
Okay, because I want to ask you to completely change the subject. Epstein files.
Yeah.
This guy doesn't think there's a list, but where you at on
Not
it?
anymore.
Yeah, but there was, right?
So I wouldn't. So the list is a general term that means like out of all the documents they had names that would implicate people who are working with Epstein.
Yes,
Not that like the FBI had a dossier with everyone's name on it.
correct.
So there's a list. It's the Black Book where
Yeah.
they've released that already, and we don't know what these people did. Many of them did nothing. The Epstein stuff is a challenge right now. I have a question for you guys. Do you think that prominent Democrat-aligned individuals were trafficking kids and raping them?
No.
You don't think so? Not at all.
Yes.
I mean, Epstein was. He was friends with Bill Clinton. And he was
Yeah,
doing
I
it.
think Epstein was a
yes.
guy.
I
I
think
think
yes.
Epstein was a guy who liked them young, to quote Donald Trump. And they might have been 14, 15.
No, they were
you know.
9-year-olds. There's one of his pilots.
I don't think that there was so actually that was the traffic control guy who said
Right.
who said we saw girls that seemed to be 14, 15. He was into these. He was convicted when they looked at it. If you look at in 2008 the case, there were 40 witnesses, many underage, but most of those girls were 15, 16, 17. So there really wasn't any like 9-year-olds. That's actually not.
Tim?
There's no.
I've heard otherwise, but I'm not gonna. I'm not knowledgeable on the issue.
Yeah,
to
as young as
argue.
14.
I'd love
so
to
that
hear your
that
side, Tim.
as
I know his
as young as
side.
14.
Okay.
What I think
Yeah,
is
still
what
very,
what
very bad.
I always go with the
Yeah,
least.
that's not a great argument.
No, I always go with the
And
least.
Tim, don't be ridiculous, Tim. They were 14.
No,
that changes nothing.
It does not change anything. It's bad.
14?
It's
You
bad.
ever seen a
bad, bad.
14-year-old?
Yeah.
I
I
was 14 once.
I have a
Fucking
14-year-old
wild.
for God's sake.
Yeah.
No, so what I'm saying is
like
that
get carried away
he
here.
was
They
a
were
piece
14.
of shit. My interest is more this, and let me give you my theory and see what you think. My guess is he had to have been working for an intelligence
Mossad?
agency.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly, Ehud Barak has been to his house, covered his face. He had ties to. We know through Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's.
Right.
So he was
Probably Mossad.
obviously at least a Mossad asset. So I always think of Epstein Island as at least a honeypot where a foreign intelligence agency was getting powerful people into compromising positions
With young
so that
girls?
if they needed it,
Well, so
or just women in general.
The theory is you'd meet a billionaire at a party in New York, and he'd say, "Want to fly my jet to a private island and party all night?"
Yes.
You'd be like, "Wow, yes, I do." And
Yeah.
this guy's famous; everybody knows him. You don't know anything. I mean, after like 2010, everyone got the idea. But this is back in the 2000s. The theory is that you'd get on the plane, and either on the island or the plane, you're going to have this like young girl, and he's going to say, "Don't worry, all the girls are 18 or over.
course.
She's 20." And then you're going to be like, "Cool." And then afterwards, he goes, "I lied. She's 16, and I got it on tape. I own you now."
Fact.
That's like I think the simplest theory.
Agree.
You know what? I'm not at all entertained. This debate from people like release the list and all this stuff. I'm like, it's meaningless to me. I have a question for you guys. Do you
Can I have a gun in this again? Another scenario?
I'll give you one. Do you think that there is some kind of cold civil war or conflict happening between the political factions of the United States?
Well, if you're listening to this, we had the great Tim Pool on. Timmy and us go on for about 2 hours. So hopefully you're enjoying the podcast as of now. If you want the full 2-hour interview with Tim Pool, head on over to the Patreon. It's patreon.com/TFATK to get the full interview, this full episode ad-free. Head on over. And Friday, we're dropping, me and Chin head on over to my favorite barbecue spot, Styles Switch Barbecue. and we give a little BBQ review for you guys. That
your
drops
new,
Friday.
That's your new favorite barbecue spot?
Yeah.
Styles Switch.
Yep.
Where's that?
That's like 30 minutes from here, 20.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's great. No wait. There's no hoopla.
Huh.
It's great. You dug it, huh, Chin?
I loved it. Yeah.
The wings
Leroy
were
and
great.
Lewis.
The
You gotta
ribs
try.
were
I want to
great.
see what you think of Leroy and Lewis. Their whole hog is so good. God damn.